Shalom, shalom, Yisrael. This is Yerd Yao checking in. Let's go. Shalom, Yisrael. This is Yerd Yao. This is Hebrew News. I just wanted to go into this ice storm that we had over the weekend. And I say we, of course, we're broadcasting from West Africa, but of course, we are American, and whenever something happens in America, we feel it over here too. So in checking on my family and making sure everybody's okay and has power and all that, I couldn't help but notice that there is a correlation between the ice apocalypse, the ice storm that hit all over the United States this week or this weekend, and the incident that happened on Saturday. I believe it was Saturday, with the man whose name was Pretty. I think his last name was Pretty. The man that was killed in Minnesota. If you see this situation, you've seen the video probably by now. And he was what appears to be standing up to an ICE officer, a group of ICE officers that were they were assaulting a woman. They had just assaulted a woman, and he seemed to be stepping in, and they took him to the ground. They pepper sprayed him. They took him to the ground. They removed his gun from him, and then they executed him. They shot him in cold blood, man. And it's wild, man. It's just wild. It's a really sad thing, man. And it's not a light thing, to be honest with you. To see a man get killed on the street like that is not a light thing. They intended on executing this man in front of everybody. And, it bothers me. I don't think in any of our lifetimes we've seen an America like this. Do you understand? Now, it appears that this is a very important event in American history right now. The times that we're living in American history may be talked about from now on, you guys. You are looking at more than an ice storm as far as the weather is concerned, but you're literally looking at an invasion of a standing army, you guys, and the army is called ICE. This is not something that should be taken lightly, you guys. They have just killed a man in the street. They executed him on camera. And it's a real sad thing, because who would have thought that we would be here in America? That we would be to this point. Do you understand what I mean? Where you are absolutely looking at the beginnings of a kingdom, you guys. And that's very important terminology that I'm using, because this is what the Bible suggests that the end of the world would look like, right? You don't necessarily hear about democracies in the end of the world. You hear about kingdoms, right? And of course, we've always wondered, how does America fit into prophecy? What role does America play in these, last days, or in the last days that are spoken about in Scripture? And, we've never seen anything in the Scripture that resembles a democracy. I mean, even though the governing style of Israel is, with the king, originally with the king, but there's a three-pronged governing system, right? And we talked about that in one of the other videos. But in the last days, the Bible predicts that there will be 10 kingdoms, right? And so we understand that when we look at the world today, we see a lot of democracies, but that's going to change, you guys. That's going to change. You're going to see the rise of kingdoms again on the earth. And you're going to see it with America. It's just plain and simple. You're going to see it with America. It's going to start with America. Once the democracy fails, once it falls, and I think we're talking this year, you guys. I'm thinking that we're talking this year that democracy dies. So if democracy dies in America, it dies all over the world, because America is the leader of the world. We were the shining example of democracy. And if America is no longer a democracy, who's going to be there to enforce democracy? Do you see what I'm saying? So you're going to see the collapse of democracy in America this year. And I say that, I don't mean to make predictions. It's not what we do on this channel, but you're going to have a real test of the democratic system this year, because you're looking at an election year, and if things are progressing in the way that they appear to be progressing, don't even consider there being any elections this year. Do you see what I'm saying? If that happens, democracy dies. This is the logic that we're using here. If that happens, democracy dies. And so then if democracy dies in America, then it also dies around the world, because America is the democratic standard, right? Everybody else has kings already. To be honest with you, lots of nations still have kings, and they're going to reassert themselves. We see that in Vladimir Putin. He's, a king. That's what he is. He's a king. We see that in, Donald Trump. He is fashioning his kingdom. That's what's going on here. And of course, we see that in Europe. Lots of kings and queens and things in Europe. So we're seeing the re-rise of kingdoms on the earth. And this is what this is. This is what the fight is for. This is what the battle is about. This is what the iconography has been about for the past few years, right? Or at least the past 2 years, for sure. We've seen in the media where Trump has been portrayed as a king. I think it was a Time magazine where he was on the cover and he's looking in the mirror. And in the reflection of the mirror is a king, right? And you can pass that off as being, tongue-in-cheek, or, actually even a slam against the administration. But in reality, it'll be foretelling, because this is exactly what's going to happen. And in their style of psychology, it doesn't work as a political commentary. If it then actually comes true, then we see it was, predictive programming instead of political commentary, right? So we see the fashioning of the kingdom happening right before our eyes. This is what I believe the QAnon. Do you guys know QAnon? This is what I think that was about. I mean, them people that believed in those conspiracies were very, very crazy. They believed that resurrections were going to happen, and that Trump was in the center of some sort of spiritual warfare, and he was the last, hero left, and all sorts of messianic comparisons, right? All sorts of spiritual things, right? Weird stuff. But I believe that all that was done to seed in certain people the understanding of a royal dynasty, and even a royal dynasty like they would have in Egypt with the god kings, like they would have in Rome with the god kings. Do you see what I'm saying? This is how that QAnon conspiracy crowd actually thought of Trump, and that sentiment has manifested itself into allowing Trump to do anything that he wants, right? This is how it's developed. So when we look at this weekend, this past weekend, and the events that happened this past weekend, we have to look at it as a declaration of war. And that declaration of war is actually against America. Do you see how that works? Do you see how it works? Because this has to be a very important event, because we see how the events have been planned in leading up to this event, right? So we see in 2 weeks ago, there was what was clearly an orchestrated event. Not that nobody got killed, not that the driver set herself up to be killed, but no, you have a target that's lured into a situation, and then in the situation you already know how you're going to react. So then you can orchestrate this killing that can play out in front of people like a movie, right? Except for someone actually dies. They call those false flags, right? That's what's called a false flag. That's why how people can get so confused as to what's going on. I don't know, maybe I got something in my beard. I always got stuff in my beard. That's how people can get so confused as to what's going on, because they'll try to report, on the events being orchestrated, and so some of the what do you call it? The suspension of belief, or the reasonable doubt. Some of the reasonable doubt is already built in to the technology. It's part of the technology, right? This is mind science. So the way it works is that you play out this scenario and you orchestrate the event that's happening, and then operation style hit, almost like an assassination. And then you put out the information that it was orchestrated, but then you say nobody died, right? You say that it's played. It's all a scam. And this is how you invalidate the orchestrated aspect of it. It's part of the technology. So the technology that they're using against you has its own fail-safe, and it's like a mind thing. It's its own fail-safe argument. Oh, well, you're saying that nobody got killed. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying is that a woman was lured into a trap, basically, and the trap played out before our eyes, and that trap is used now to display a level of power that no administration has had before now. Do you understand what I'm saying? The fact that they chose a white woman who is from a protected class, because white women in America are a protected class, and decided to kill her on live TV is a show of force that is decidedly brutal. Do you see what I'm saying? It's meant to be brutal. If it's orchestrated, then it's orchestrated in really one of the most brutal ways that they could envision. Do you see what I'm saying? So the reason why is not because, killing a white woman is, more important than anything else. It's because the sentiment of America is killing a white woman is more important than anything else. Do you see what I'm saying? That this is protected class is not one that's tolerated for abuse to. So anytime that they wanted to win elections, all they would have to do is parade a black man in front of you that did something to a white woman, and then say, I'm running against that, and they're going to win the election. We've seen it happen multiple times. We've seen it in history. If you look at a white woman the wrong way, you're going to be hung. So using this as an example for who can't get away without being murdered is a heavy, heavy message to the American population, for sure. For sure. And if it's orchestrated to send this very message, right? So it's very important, the things that are happening right now. They're going through all of this trouble to orchestrate this event. It's time for it. They're implementing it at the moment in time when it would be opportune for them to start this war. Do you see what I'm saying? We always thought it was going to be Venezuela. When we saw the generals, the 800 generals that were being brought into was it Virginia? Were they being brought back to the White House? It was either the CIA headquarters in Langley or in the White House. It was one of those two. Oh, sorry, I'm hitting this microphone. It's by my foot here. But they were all brought back and they were briefed, right? And we thought, what is this? What is going on with these generals being briefed? And then we saw the black admiral, the Navy commander, resign after the Venezuelan attacks started. So at the time, we're thinking, oh, okay, well, they're getting ready to take Venezuela. They're getting ready to take Greenland, right? We thought that they're arming up to do that because they're bombing places in Venezuela, bombing these so-called drug boats. We thought that the admiral was resigning because of that, right? But what we didn't know is that the admiral is resigning because Trump was preparing to attack America. That's why he resigned. I thought to myself, he has a pretty fond affection for these innocent Venezuelans, right? This admiral, this chief. He's really fond of these, and not to say that that's not good enough reason for somebody to leave the Navy. Anytime you see somebody innocent die, no matter if they're Venezuelan, American, Mexican, Hebrew, Gentile, whatever, your heart goes out for them. We stand for righteousness. We don't stand for unrighteousness. Do you see what I'm saying? We stand for justice and judgment, righteous judgment, not a heavy hand. Do you see what I'm saying? Not oppression of the poor or oppression of the stranger. It's not what we do. It's not what the Bible upholds. That's the difference between a righteous nation and an unrighteous nation. What they do with the people that are in the lowest positions, right? Do you see what I'm saying? So, not to say that it's not worthy of him to leave the administration because of what was happening in Venezuela. But it's much more likely that he left the administration because the plan starts with Venezuela and then ends in America. Do you see what I'm saying? That's a reason that you would leave. If this gathering of 800 generals was to inform them that the time is now, or leading up to now, that he's pulling everybody in so that the focus can be on the war front. And the war front is in the United States, you guys. You guys don't understand. This is the start of the war. This is the start of the war, you guys. That's why the generals were called in. That's why Trump, a few months ago, was telling them that they needed to prepare to be deployed to United States cities. This is the real reason why the general resigned. The general didn't want any part of the American invasion. America is under an ice storm, you guys. And don't think that's coincidence either. We know that there are, and I don't want to sound too conspiratorial and get down into, just complete rabbit trails and holes and speculation and all of that sort of talk. But you guys have to understand the world that we're living in. You're living in a world where there is high technology that you do not know about. There is mind science that already has most of you, most of us. There is technological advances in the society that are invisible, and not like Predator with a cloak, but invisible to your mind, imperceivable. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when we look at an ice storm, an ice apocalypse they called it, where all of these different states are getting hit with ice, right? We're getting hit with snow, getting hit with storm, blizzard conditions. And in the same weekend, there is a murder by an ICE agent. Are we forward thinking enough to believe that it's a sign, that it's a characterization of an impending doom from the storm that comes. You see, the language storm even is significant because there is a segment of the population that when they hear there's a storm coming, that is a very, very key phrase because they are the storm front. Have you guys ever heard of the neo-Nazi storm front movement? You see, the storm is the race war. And according to certain provocateurs, that's happening right now. The race war is here. Let me show you guys a video real quick to illustrate what I'm trying to say to you guys.
And all you liberal commie mother, keep your hands to yourself or you're gonna get hurt today, all right? We executed one of you yesterday. We executed one of you yesterday. You understand that? We executed one of you yesterday.
Don't feed the trolls. Don't give them the press. You're just talking to white supremacists.
You guys keep playing stupid games.
You're gonna keep getting stupid
Do
not give them attention.
You guys keep playing stupid games. You're gonna keep getting stupid prizes. You guys will continue to be killed if you keep trying to harm these men. Don't you understand that? Don't you understand that?
He's not
making it any better for you.
Don't feed the trolls.
Law and order.
Don't feed the trolls.
The storm is here. When we come, one, we go all. No one can stop what is coming. Get here, guys. We need you in Minnesota.
The precedent here is very simple. You have a federal law enforcement official engaging in federal law enforcement action. That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity. He was doing his job.
Sorry, you guys. Couple key takeaways from what the provocateur was saying, right? There are things that I want you to take away from what he's saying, because he's not just talking randomly, right? What he said is that, and of course he's a provocateur, and if you know what a provocateur is there's somebody who's there to inflame the other side so that an opinion can be presented that will antagonize another opposing opinion so that there can be war, right? That's what a provocateur is there for. And we know that he's a paid provocateur because he's on the side of the government, right? He's not there as like a anti-ICE protester. He's a paid provocateur. He's a paid troll, like the woman was saying. So if he's paid, who is he paid by? Of course, he's paid by the government. ICE is a government agency, so if they're spending money on trucks and agents and gear and all of these other things, then they're also spending money on the propaganda too. So that's why you have the provocateur there. And he's speaking, of course, in coded language. He's speaking in coded language, y'all. If you can understand that he's speaking things that should be anchor terminology for you, because when you hear the storm is coming or you hear the storm is here, then you have to recognize what he's talking about. And of course, this was after the original shooting from last week from Renee Good, where they shot the woman in the face, right? So he said, we executed one of yours yesterday. So he used the terminology executed, right? As if this was something that was planned, right? You don't have just a random execution, right? You plan executions. So he's really letting you in on what's going on already, right? And so what he said was, we executed one of y'all yesterday. So you need to believe him when he says that. He also said the storm is here. And so when he says the storm is here, he's not talking about the ICE apocalypse that happened. He's talking about the race war. He's talking about a planned race war, one that has been planned for a very long time. I was doing all of this research, and this is something that I've come across, a long time ago, when it happened, actually. When Obama instituted body cameras for the police officers and patrol car cameras, you know, they start catching some of the conversations that we're not privy to. And there were these 3 police officers that were speaking about a coming race war, right? And one of the officers was just laughing and laughing and laughing. He didn't have a whole lot to say. He was just laughing, right? But the other officer is talking to another officer, and he said, yeah, there's a race war coming, and I'm preparing for it now. And he said, what? He said, oh, you didn't know? There is a race war that's coming, and I can't wait to start killing them. N-words is what he said. I can't wait to start killing those N-words. That's what he said, you guys. That's what he said. He said, I can't wait to start killing. And so the one officer is still laughing, just laughing. So clearly, he's aware of what the guy is saying, right? He's aware of what the officer is saying. So he's laughing, and it doesn't necessarily imply agreement, but it definitely doesn't say disagreement either, because this is something egregious enough to not be funny. Do you see what I'm saying? So he's not only familiar with this language, he knows that it's inflammatory, because the other guy says, what? The third guy, he's like, what? And the dude is just laughing. He said, and then the other guy is like, yeah, I've got weapons for it already. I'm already stockpiling ammunition, right? And this was a cop in North Carolina that was saying this. He was caught on candid camera. And of course he's relieved of his position, but has he been relieved of his mentality? Is he an officer in another unit somewhere? What is he talking about that 2 out of the 3 officers know about? Do you see what I'm saying? 2 out of the 3 know about a coming race war and know people that are preparing for it. Even if it is laughed off with one officer, that doesn't mean that you don't know about it. And it doesn't mean that you don't agree with it either. It doesn't mean that you're not a participant. At the very least, you know about it. So this means that this is a plan. It is a secret plan that now we know even the president is involved in. Do you understand? Do you understand how serious that is? And when we say that this is very serious, it's very serious, because we know that they can and do have some control over weather patterns. Do you know that there's such thing as cloud seeding? It's very easy to do. All you do is get a plane and you put salt into the atmosphere, into the cloud level, and it, pulls in the water, it pulls in the moisture, and it rains, right? So that's called cloud seeding. So they've known how to do this since the 60s. So they have a murder, and this is what will sound like the most ridiculous coincidence, but we know that the hallmark is in the coincidence, that characterizes the signature of the conspiracy, right? We already know that on this channel. So when we see things aligning in ways that are, too much to be coincidence, even if it seems over the top, we have to recognize the signs. Because this is not just, of course, some sort of satanic conspiracy that is not a part of Elohim's will. So Elohim is allowing us to see these things and make these connections where otherwise we wouldn't even have the capacity to think that they could connect. But the fact that there is an ice storm and then a murder from an ICE agent is significant, you guys. It means that they spent a lot of time and effort planning this, even down to the names of the 2 victims in the 2 weeks. The one's name is Renee Good. The other one is, what is it, Andretti Pretty. So it's pretty good. Do you see what I'm saying? Pretty good, pretty and good. So even a play on words with the names of the murdered people that were murdered by ICE. So do you understand the level of technology that is going into what is happening? You have to understand that they're not including this level of symbolism. They're not including this level of trickery and posturing for nothing, you guys. If they did, and they absolutely did, create this ice storm, right? As a symbolic, deep psychological impression on the nation, right? Because whether it was an actual ice apocalypse for everybody or not is not the point. Do you see what I'm saying? Some people got ice and snow and all that, and others didn't, right? Whether that was the case or not is not important. What's important is that they reported it as if everybody was going to get this massive amount of snow. You better buckle up because it's coming, right? You better prepare yourself because the ice storm is coming. Do you understand the psychological effect that has when in the same weekend the ice storm comes and murders a man on the ground, an innocent man on the ground, removes his weapon and executes him by shooting him 10 times? Do you understand the message that sends? Do you understand the deep psychological impression that gives with a dual weather system phenomena and murder in the same weekend, on the same day? For my area, the storm hit on the same day as the murder. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's wild, y'all, but don't think it couldn't happen. Don't think that's not what is happening. And you have to say, if that's the case, then what you're getting ready to witness is going to be huge. It's going to be big, y'all. What you're getting ready to witness is a full-fledged war. You're seeing the opening shots right now. This is what the stabbings were about. The Texas family that, the twins and the athlete that stabbed the one of the twins, the black and the white, the controversy there. We knew that was, stage 2. We know, of course, we've gone over the method of staging. It's not that there's not any real deaths, that it's just an orchestrated operation, that it's an event. That was a key, a programming for what was to come. I saw it then, like, wow, this event is markedly designed to have a racial argument. Do you see what I'm saying? It's almost as if the event was designed to have both sides have a point style of debate around it. Do you see what I'm saying? So that means this has to be a psychological event. If both sides, where you can argue this side for the white side and you can argue this side for the black side. You can say, okay, well, this kid shouldn't have been in that area, so he should have been approached. There had been theft in the area, so they're thinking automatically it's this black kid. This is what the type of arguments that you're gonna hear on the other side. And then from the black side, of course, the kid had the right to defend himself. He's right there, and all the kids from the football team. The kid was smaller. That kid was bigger. Of course, he's gonna somebody confront him that's bigger. He's gonna have a way to defend himself. This is the other side, right? And of course, it's a murder, so you still can't murder anybody. So both sides have an argument and an ironic twist. Both sides, right? You could be you could be innocent or guilty on both sides. It's a valid point from both. So it's a coordinated, it's a psychological event, right? And that was preparing us for the next psychological event, which was Charlie Kirk, a bigger, larger scale psychological event, where, of course, Charlie Kirk is assassinated in this huge plan, right? We understand that it was a plan. We see the bodyguards. I say this all the time, but we see the bodyguards on both sides. We know that the shot was impossible. We know that it's possible to plant devices into whether it's a microphone or a pager or a cell phone that can explode in such a way that'll kill you. We saw the technology in the beepers from Israel, over the past year. Was it last year or year before that? We saw the beeper explosions. Do you guys remember the beeper explosions? They killed several people, right? They killed a lot of people. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's the Israeli government had an operation where they gave a bunch of pagers that were loaded with explosives, pagers and cell phones, I believe, that were loaded with explosives to a bunch of terrorists, right? And since their network is all based on pagers and other means of communication besides cell phone, they're really big into these pagers, right? And so the pagers were all loaded with these explosives, and they had them, some of them, for 2-3 years, right? Where they're just using this pager, and it's a ticking time bomb, basically. And so when they decided to, they just clicked the button and blew all these pagers up all over the Middle East, right? And it killed a whole bunch of people. So we know that an explosive device can be fitted inside, let's just say, like a microphone. We know that Charlie Kirk had a vest on, and that the microphone, that one that you kind of put under your shirt, and it's got the battery pack to it, and you don't have to have a microphone in your hand. It's just like plugged up to your shirt so that you can talk and it'll hear you clearly. We know that has a battery pack associated with it, and it could have been situated right there under his vest. It looked like when he was shot that his vest lifted up, right? That his shirt lifted up, and it looked like the explosion came from him, right? Instead of something hitting him, it looked like it came from him. And since the explosion kind of happened up, it would make sense that if the explosive device was put under the vest, then the vest would have caught the shrapnel and sent it like upward. And that looks like what we're seeing is the capture of the shrapnel. That's why the chest bows out, because the shrapnel is being caught. The blast is blasting it out. So we see this event. We see the orchestrated aspects of this event, and it's a bigger event. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a public figure that is now assassinated in cold blood, right? Then the next thing, of course, is what we have right now. We have this huge event with 2 American citizens being killed by a sitting army, by a new sitting army that is regularly violating the rights of American citizens and behaving like an occupying force, right? Behaving like an occupying force. We had the generals called in last year. We've got all of the signaling of Trump being a king. We've got, and then here's the other thing. We've got the invasion of Venezuela, right? We all were looking at Venezuela like, oh man, he's getting ready to take over the country. He's getting ready to add them to the list. He's going to do all this and that, right? And so we not recognizing that, and this is me, right? Not recognizing that in order to wage a war, you always have to have fuel. You have to have additional fuel. You have to have surplus fuel. You have to have a line of fuel to be able to power the jets, the tanks, the track vehicles, the Humvees. You've got to have a constant flow of that MoGas, right? We had MoGas, but you have to have it, right? And you have to have reserves of it if you're preparing to use a military, you guys. So it wasn't about conquering or taking the oil and selling it on the black market and I've heard, certain news reports that he's trying to sell the oil and nobody will buy it and all that. Don't listen to that. They're getting the oil because they want to use it to power the war, you guys. Because it's going to be a real war. If you can imagine that they're manipulating the weather, that they're coordinating killings, that they're signaling in all fronts that this is something serious, then you should take it seriously, guys. Charlie Kirk, we know that his murder was forecast in a movie that happened 30 years ago when he was 4, right? Or when he was 2, right after he was born. A movie that came out 30 years ago about him being assassinated. So that means this plot, this plan, this ploy is at least 30 years old. And the murder is some psychological effect that has some sort of psychological effect over us that they've been planning for 30 years. So it must work. Whatever they're talking about must be working. You see what I'm saying? You can see it working. You see how powerful it is. People are talking about stand with I am Charlie Kirk. Do you see that? You see how the witchcraft works? And you see how it's ancient? If it happened 30... So if you guys haven't researched this, look up the movie Snake Eyes. And I've talked about it on this channel, and I should probably just do a video. But look up the movie Snake Eyes and look and see if a guy named Charles Kirkland isn't assassinated with a neck shot on September 10th in the movie. And Charles Kirkland is a politician in the movie. Do you see what I'm saying? He's assassinated with a neck shot on the same day. Same name, or a very, very similar name. Same day, same style of death, same place of injury, shot in the neck. And guess what? Not even that, that's not even the last part. The boxer is named Tyler. So the shooter's name and the shot name are in the movie. That means they planned Charlie Kirk's assassination when he was born. He was marked to die. Candace Owens said that he always had security around him because they knew that he should be protected until this time. They're planning to sacrifice him in front of everybody. So that means the stuff that's going on now, they've wanted to happen for 30 years. That means it's big. That means it's worth changing or intensifying the weather for, to make a supernatural statement. You're getting ready to have a king in America. You guys don't recognize that this ice stuff has been planned for just as long. The army of ice has also been planned for at least one generation already. Trump's ice army was pre-planned. Let me prove it to you guys. I hope I still have it up here. There it is. Can you guys see that? And the people that are scoffers will scoff at this, but can you see this? This is a Wikipedia page for Trump Ice, or Trump Natural Spring Water. You see, Trump had a bottled water that was called Ice, and the name of the brand was called Trump Ice, as in ice water. But it wasn't called ice water, it was called Trump Ice. It says Trump Ice, or Trump Natural Spring Water, was a bottled water brand owned by American businessman Donald Trump. Trump Ice was initially sold only at Trump-owned casinos and other select markets. It was introduced in 1995, you guys. It was discontinued in 2010. Do you guys understand that that cannot be a coincidence? That Trump's Ice was already foreshadowed in this product that he put out? Do you understand that means that this was a plan? Do you understand that that plan would have to be at least 1995, Since 1995, how long is that? That's 30 years. That's another 30-year-old plan, you guys. You are living right now in times that have been planned for at least 30 years. You are seeing events coming to pass that have been planned for 3 decades. That's what you're witnessing. The fact that they're using the weather, the fact that they're using the media, the fact that they're doing all of these things to prop up this regime means that you're getting ready to see a real change in this country. You're getting ready to see the death of democracy. You're gonna see it, you guys. You're gonna see the death of democracy. And again, I don't mean to just continue to say and to beat a dead horse, but if you're witnessing, this year is an election year in 2026. This is an election year. So, of course, it's not the presidential election, but yet and still an election year, right? Is it a congressional election year? It's for some other branch, right? And so we're going to see if these elections happen. He's signaling that he's not going to allow them to happen. We're going to find out this year whether democracy will survive to the end of this year. 2026 has the potential to signal the end of worldwide democracy, you guys. America will be the first one to fall, and then all the rest of them will fall too. Because who's going to defend them after America's gone, right? Who's going to defend democracy after America's gone? So when we see these things happening, we see the race war that's being talked about. We see the end of democracy. We see these 30-year-old plans that are coming into effect. We see them using high technology to instill a psychological hold over people, whether it be for fear or whether it be for pride or whatever. We see it being used in a spiritual way. Do you see what I'm saying? Did you hear when the dude said, "Nothing can stop what is coming"? He said, "Nothing can stop what is coming." That means he knows that it's prophecy, guys. You have to recognize that Jacob's trouble is going to be manifested in the end of the world, because Scripture says that that last kingdom will wear out the saints. The last kingdom will wear out the saints, you guys. Talking about Daniel chapter 7. You're about to see the saints be worn out. Do you see what I'm saying? The war is about us. The Civil War was about us. The original Civil War was about us then, right? What do you think this one's going to be about? Do you see what I mean? Do you see how they are priming to trample over the saints? That's what they're doing. That's what all this is about. That's why you have the buffer community, the Latinos, to practice on. That's why they're deploying ICE to the major cities, right? They're not deploying ICE to New Mexico, are they? Maybe they've got ICE agents there, but they should be like situated there, because everybody I saw, and when I went through New Mexico, I ain't see nothing but Hispanics. I ain't see hardly no white people even. Nothing but Hispanics. No black people at all. I ain't see hardly no black people. Maybe one. But mostly 95% Hispanic. They should be there, right? If it's about the Hispanics, they're supposed to be in New Mexico right now. You see what I'm saying? Cleaning out that whole state. Do you see what I mean? So what it's really about is a civil war. And that civil war is going to be with us. This ice storm, this symbolic undertaking, is representative of an invasion. And that's what we see. That's what we're seeing already. We're seeing ICE invade. And we know that this has been planned for a very, very long time. We know these things are planned because we can see it in the text. We see it in the scripture. We know that in Revelation 18, and this is what we always read, scripture says, "Come out of her, my people, that you do not partake in her sins, nor take in her plague." It also goes on to say, "Reward her double for the things that she's done unto you." So you're getting ready. You should know that the blood of the saints is in the hands of Babylon. And the only way that you can come out of Babylon in the future, you guys, you have to recognize there's no way that Babylon can be any other nation except for America. There's no way that it could be any other city because the Hebrews have to come out of her. The Hebrews have to be in her in order for her to come out, for them to come out of her, my people. So you're talking about an end time city that is full of Hebrews. Do you see what I'm saying? Can't be nothing but America. You guys, please, please stay prayed up out here. We believe in Yah O Elohim and his son Yahusha. And we believe that because the deliverance out of Egypt happened, because the deliverance from sin happened, because he will not leave his people behind. He will leave a remnant of his people, and did. Because of all these things, because all these things are true, we know that we will also be delivered out of this situation. But we have to make it that far, and we have to be wise to make it that far, you guys. Let's be wise. This is Yered Yah with Hebrew News. Please, please be safe out there. The war has started.